Okay, we have a new year, Parshas Noach, and there's something that's very interesting. I mean, there's a lot of interesting points, but one of them is that the pasuk says in Tescha, "Vayachel Noach ish adama v'yita kerem," which means that Noach began, and he's a man of the ground, a man of the earth, and he planted a vineyard, a kerem. So there's a very interesting Rashi over here that quotes the Medrash Rabbah that this was a negative. This was something negative. Vayachel is meloshin chulin. It's whole. It's mundane. It's profane. It wasn't good. It could mean he began Vayachel, but it could also mean chulin, profane. Actually, if you look at the source of this Rashi, if you look at the Midrash Rabbah on this pasuk, it and the Mefarshim over there, it seems like the word Vayachel is extra. It doesn't need to say it. Just say that Noach planted a vineyard. What's the pshat over here? So there's a massive question over here. What the truth is, and we'll cross-reference slightly. We discussed 7-8 years ago, and what exactly was so bad about this incident over here? Noach, the Torah testifies in Bereshis in Vav, Parak Vav Pasuk Tes, that Noach was ish sadik tama haya b'dorasav. Noach was a tzaddik, right? There's a song about Noach is a tzaddik. Right, so he's very righteous. He was perfect in his generations. He was righteous, and the Gemara in Avodah Zarah Davav teaches us that he was perfect in his midos, and Rashi over there explains that he was humble. He had anava, which is a very important virtue, as is discussed in Meseches Avodah Zarah, Chafam Beis, Tosfos, as well as Yevamos on Kov Gimel. So Noach also additionally the Medrash, the Bereshis Rabbah in Parsha Lamed Os Hey. Medrash Rabbah relates that Noach himself was Noach. The word Noach means like pleasant. That's what it means, or comfort. Noach l'shamayim, Noach l'brios. He was pleasant towards heaven, towards other people. Le'elyonim v'letachtoinim. Noach le'elyonim v'letachtoinim. He was good for what was happening above and down below. Noach ba'olam hazil olam haba. He was good in this world and the next world. So he was at a very high stature. And Hashem said, Hashem called him a tzaddik, beginning of Parak Zayin. And then everything is lost. Why? He made himself profane. Before, 1 minute ago, he was a tzaddik tamid. He was completely righteous. And now he became an ish adama. It's in the same pasuk, right? It says in this pasuk, ish adama, a man of the earth, like a farmer. Medrash Tanchuma says in Yud Gimel. So how could this happen? How could Noach lose everything? How did he come so empty? Did he commit a serious sin, chas v'shalom? Was something that he did usher? What did he do? He planted a vineyard. He was farming. So Rashi says he should have planted something else first. We'll come back to that also. That's it. That's all he did. So the world of Noach was very interesting. Back then, Targum Yonasan says also Bereshis Rabbah. It's actually the next Bereshis Rabbah after this idea that he made himself chulin in Parsha Lamed Vav Oz Daled, but this medrash is an Oz Gimel that says B'yom Shenata Bo B'yom Haneitz VeHevshila. On the day that he planted those seeds, on that day it blossomed and it ripened. Anavim Usachtum V'Hayilayim, and he squeezed the grapes and it turned into wine. It was all on that day, miraculous event. So tomorrow he was going to plant the figs, he was going to plant the dates, but today he planted the wine. Why? Why did he plant the vineyard first? Well, the answer to this question is obvious from our knowledge of Kol Torah Kula. It says in Sefer Shoftim, Parak Tes Os Yud Gimel. Parak Tes Pasuk Yud Gimel. Because that wine, it causes Hashem and man to rejoice. And we know from the Gemara and Brachos on Lamed Hey, beginning of Ketzim Avarchim, reference the recordings there, that we sing praise only on wine. We also find that the Torah is compared to wine. It's pasuk in Yeshayahu, in Nun Hey, as well as the Gemara in Tainus on Zayin Mad Aleph. Reference the recordings in Tainus. That comes more detail. So the Torah is compared to wine. Nice story over there in that Gemara in Tainus. So the reward of Sadiqim is also compared to wine. Gemara in Brachos, also that Gemara that we learned as well. Lamed Daled on the base. And wine could have medicinal advantages as well. The Gemara in Baba Basra. on Nun Ches Amud Beis. It brings comfort to the elderly. A lot of Torahs on that. The Gemara Megillah. Tezayim Amud Beis. It expands the mind and makes a person wise. The Gemara in Yuma. Ayin Vav Amud Beis. So we see that there's a lot of benefits of wine. Now, of course, this is in moderation. It has to be the right amount, but we see, nevertheless, that it is certainly beneficial. So if we could get all that from drinking wine, imagine what Noah could gain from drinking wine. Why then did he lose all of his virtues for making wine? What was so bad? So here's when Rabbi Galinsky finally provides the answer to this question.
He planted the vineyard too, so that's pretty.
What'd you say?
He planted the vineyard, so that's pretty exciting too.
Right, I understand, but why is it so bad? That's his question. So
yeah.
Rabbi Galinsky says a massive chiddush over here. He says like this: Noach didn't suspect himself of having self-serving motives, ulterior motives. He allowed himself to get addicted to the drinking, to become profane, become a man of the earth. He cut himself off from spirituality, from ruchnius, even though he didn't drink for the right reasons. He didn't drink for the right reasons. Nevertheless, he convinced himself that he was doing it for the right reasons, and that was his issue. That was his problem. In other words, he didn't realize that what he was doing was wrong, but he convinced himself that it was right. What he was doing was wrong, but he convinced himself that it was right.
What was
and that's the problem. About it? What was wrong? We're going to come back to that even more.
Okay.
But I mean, Rashi already said he should have planted something else first, right? Should have done something else first instead of wine. But we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Now, of course, we're not trying to launch an investigation over here into Noah's actions. It's not our business to make tainas, to make claims about these small misdeeds that a Nisadik has done. But nevertheless, we have to learn a lesson from this. We have to make a cheshbon, make an accounting for our actions, our hidden motivations. To suspect ourselves of having ulterior motives, we have to make sure not to. It brings a beautiful idea about Rabbi Eliezer Gordon Zatzal, the Rosh Hashiva of Telz. He loved Torah more than anything. And he wasn't a tremendous Gaon. He wasn't only a tremendous Gaon and one of the giants of the generations, but he also fulfilled the pasuk that says you should always be occupied with her love. Pasuk in Mishlei, Parakeh pasuk it does. So if he was talking with someone, whoever it was, and it happened to be that he overheard someone asking a question, a Torah-related question, he would answer immediately. He would immediately abandon his conversation with that person and just tackle that answer, and he would go into the other conversation. He wouldn't just answer, but he would get into the arguments involved. He contradict, he propose, he refute, he resolve. He really go into it. One time of Eliezer was passing the Beis Medrash, and he heard two men learning about a certain halacha. He ran over, he didn't even bother looking for the front entrance. He stood and he just spoke to them through the window to let them know that they were mistaken, and the pshat was something else. That's how much he loved Torah. And as we said before, the Torah is compared to wine. When a person is addicted to wine, wine is his world. Ask any alcoholic. He can't remain nonchalant when he's around wine. He's got to get shikker. So this is someone who loves Torah like Rabbi Eliezer Gordon acted whenever he had a chance to learn. Whenever he was in the proximity of others learning, he was addicted to it. So he made yeshiva with this idea, with this image, with this concept in mind. And the Talmidim had a passion for learning, and they studied, they learned with tremendous hasmada, diligence. Now, he not only took care of the ruchnius, of the spiritual needs of the yeshiva, but also worried about the physical maintenance, the geld, the financing. So he convinced the wealthy philanthropist, Baron David Ginsburg, to visit the yeshiva, and he hoped that he would impress him enough to cause him to make a donation. So, in order that this philanthropist would consider visiting with high regard and donate generously, Rav Eliezer asked his Rebbe, Rav Yisrael Salanter, to join. So the three of them entered the yeshiva. They heard the cold Torah, the voices of learning, hundreds of bachrim learning, arguing with passion, fervor, and all the diligence and the enthusiasm. Rosh Hashiva was so overwhelmed with joy when he saw his Talmidim learning that he started dancing. So the philanthropist, he stared at him. How could you dance? Rav Eliezer explains, when you see hundreds of bachrim learning this way, how could you not join and dance? So Rav Yisrael Salanter claimed, if Rav Eliezer danced like this when he entered Slobodka, or when he was by the mirror, this would certainly constitute a joy for kavod HaTorah, for honor of the Torah. But now, when he's dancing at the threshold of his own yeshiva, who knows whether he's dancing because his life's endeavor has succeeded and flourished? In other words, Rav Yisrael Salanter was giving him musr. Who knows if he's dancing for the right reason or not? Maybe it's shalol lishma. How could Rav Yisrael Salanter suspect him of such a thing? Why even suspect him in the first place? Isn't it a mitzvah to judge others favorably? Yes, it's true, but he felt that one must and one is obligated to educate others to suspect themselves with ulterior motives. In other words, person even at tzaddik can have ulterior motives, and that's gonna be the issue with Noach over here. Ulterior motives, major concept. I'm gonna share one idea on this and then tie something else in to this whole idea, because I don't really think that it really tackles the issue of what the big deal was with the wine, other than the ulterior motives. It's a big word, obviously. Tzaddikim get judged kechuta sa'ira, but we'll try to add a little spice to this, something that we discussed in the past. But before that, remember one time, someone who wasn't religious at all, he told me, he said, look, at least I know what I'm doing is wrong. At least I know what I'm doing is wrong. However, there are other people who maybe they'll do those mitzvahs, they won't do those mitzvahs, they'll stay away from those averas, but they'll do the other averas. But they're convincing themselves that they're right. At least, said this non-religious person to me, at least I know what I'm doing is wrong. That's exactly this idea over here. When we're doing something wrong, we can't convince ourselves like we're doing something right. I'm going to tell you a story that happened in a parking lot over here. Guy comes in between the two streets over here, some people park there and they put up signs before Rosh Hashanah, don't park there or whatever. They're cracking down. They started stickering people, whatever. They pretended like it was the city, but it was really the shul. But okay, fine.
Such bad stickers, thank God.
Yeah, they were in such a okay. So a guy comes over. I see him in the parking lot. I just parked the car. I got out. The guy's speeding like I never seen before into a parking spot. And in the lot, he must be going 25, 30 in the lot. He's going fast. And it almost like, when the tires, when you brake, it makes that sound when it brakes. It like made that sound, even like screeched, whatever. So after he gets out of the car, he was actually with someone else. And he goes over to one of the guys parked on the side who was getting out of his car legally in between those two streets there. And he says, you're not supposed to park there. All right. He quickly runs into shul because he was late. Happened to have been that I don't think I was davening a minyan. I think I was coming here to learn, but Kitzer, it happened to be that we both got out after we're done in the shul at the same time. So I go to the guy and said, two wrongs don't make a right. You got to practice what you preach. Telling a guy not to park illegally, but meanwhile you're speeding in the lot. Whatever. So person has to man up and say, look, what I'm doing is wrong, and that's it. It needs improvement. But what's the pshat over here by Noach? What was so bad? Okay, ulterior motives, nice idea. But at the end of the day, what's so bad? What's so bad? So if we go on the RabbiBlond.com website and we go to Parsha and then Bereshis and we go back to Noach 2017, click on the Word doc next to the recording, open it up. Here it is. Here it is, the whole thing typed up. The Ramban says that he didn't just plant one sapling over here, one tree, grape tree, plant, whatever you call it. It was a whole vineyard. It was rows and rows. Rows. It's called a vineyard. So it was too much. It was a lot. Okay, still, what's so bad?
There's no vegetation.
Kli Yakar goes in. Yeah, okay. So Kli Yakar, we're gonna go into it. Kli Yakar explains that it was mundane. It was an unholy activity. Right. So Kli Yakar goes into it more. Wine could impair one's mind, or he sinned with a grape tree similar to Adam Arishon. We'll come back to that. Come back to that for sure. Now the Rosh has a cube shot. Again, you listen to the recording over there, you go through this. But the Dibna Magid, he says a whole mice over here. He said that Hashem blessed the seventh day. That the brachos that Hashem's brachos is going to cause one to be wealthy, and it's not going to cause any sadness. This refers to Shabbos. Someone met a tzaddik who gave brachos at work. When he came to the tzaddik said, may it be that the first matter that you deal with when you return home will have tremendous success. The man thought to himself, oh, when he comes home, he's gonna ask his wife take out the savings. He'll have a lot of geld because that's what everyone thinks is the most important thing in life: having millions, having billions. Little do they know that it's not the most important thing. But anyways, so she goes home, asks his wife, "No, take out the savings." She didn't know what was going on. She thought he was crazy. She refused. A big quarrel erupted. Now remember, whatever you do first is going to get the bracha. So the bracha was on the quarrel. So they had the machloikas from today to tomorrow. Successful machloikas. The lesson over here is that all of the hatzlacha that we have during the week is directly stemming from Shabbos Kodesh. If we're careful with Shabbos properly, then we're going to be successful. If we're sad on Shabbos or don't keep it properly, it's going to have a negative domino / ripple effect during the week. After the Mabul, the flood, Hashem was very kind. He helped mankind rebuild the world. Noah should have dealt with something first that fixed the world, Tikkun Olam. The world needed a lot of help. Noah didn't busy himself with the world. He had a lot of success with what he busied himself with first. But that was the vineyard, and he squandered this opportunity by planting a vineyard. In other words, when you're starting over here, a whole new world, it's got to be done properly. The roots are very important, and it's at a very high level. Now, the obvious question is, we see over here, this is really Damaka Chova. Is there any way to judge them favorably? So basically, with the Nachla Svidus, right, there's a whole Rabbeinu Yonah, see the reference to recording on Pirkei Avos and on the website also, and Pirkei Avos in Perek Aleph, Pasuk Vav, in the midst of Havi Danis, called Adam Akavschos, judge everyone favorably. The Rabbeinu Yonah says, we basically came out with, if you have someone who's a tzaddik, even if it looks like everything that he's doing is totally wrong, if you judge him favorably. For example, the case that we came out with is if you have a fellow who's got a tattoo that says bleep everything, and it's on Yom Kippur, and he's in McDonald's with a Zaina ordering a cheeseburger. You have to assume what he's doing is right. Why? Because he's a tzaddik. If he's a Rasha, you don't need to judge him favorably. Rasha, you assume the guy's not doing things anyways. If the guy's in betweener, so if he's in an in-between, they have to judge him favorably. That's so. How do we not judge Noach favorably? How could we judge him favorably? So the Nachla Svi has a whole piece over here. And the Nachla Svi writes actually in two places. He says that Noach attempted to fix Adam Arishon's sin. According to one shita, Adam Arishon, it was Geffen Hayy Gemara and Brachos Daf Mem, that the first tree that Adam Arishon ate from was grapes. So therefore, Noach tried fixing that sin by planting and having the grapes properly, but he was unsuccessful. So that's one way how to judge him favorably. So in other words, we see from all of this how careful we need to be when it comes to starting something new. Right? They say if you're giving a long speech or something, so in the beginning and the end is most important. I mean, everything's important for sure, but the middle is already okay. The most important of anything is how we're going to start it off. If you start it with a good momentum, if you start it with a certain mahalach, with a in the right manner, so then it will be good. And so that's over here with the Noach. So what exactly was his sin? In summary, it seems like it was twofold. That number one is that ulterior motives, which is a very important idea in Hashkafa, and we have to factor in also that they get judged at such a high level because they're such great people. Noach is such a great person, they get judged at such a high level. And number two is it was the first act. The first act of a new world has to be done in a very pure manner, in a very proper way, and therefore those are two basic mahalchim. If anyone knows of any other explanations, so then please let me know, because this piece I saw when I was learning Rabbi Galinsky, his Al Torah, and I realized, wait a second, I'm pretty sure we discussed this in the past, and we did. Looked it up around 7-8 years ago now, and we did. So we did a deep dive back then, and that's the basic idea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Galinsky said the problem was the ulterior motive.
Correct.
And the Rav had the second shot about that it was the Haskalah.
Yes, based on the Dubna Magid, and if we tie in also the Ramban, it was tremendous amount. Right? Maybe it could have been better. Let's say he would plant a couple of grapes over here, a couple of dates, a couple of figs. Instead, he just went straight to the vineyard. Yeah, tremendous amount. Yeah. But also then you have that Dubna Magid who gives a nice mashal explaining he should have been involved Tikkun Olam, and what he does first is important, elaborating on that.
Where did he get the seeds from?
That's already another question. That's already another question. Maybe he brought, just like he brought the animals on, he brought the seeds on to, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of very interesting ideas over here on these parshas. They're packed, jam-packed. All right? All right, very good.